So from my perspective, as the illustrator of this, now and remember, she wrote this book. I was the illustrator. This is her area of expertise. This is not my bailiwick. I'm not a commentator on media and journalism. So this was actually a great opportunity for me to learn a lot about this topic as I was illustrating it. And from my perspective, there was no corner of history or culture that I wasn't forced to convey in the process of drawing this book. From the lyrical to the lurid, not to mention approximations of living people and countless dead bodies in the chapter on war. This is only a 2-color book, but I tried to evoke a million emotional colors in the course of illustrating the project. Here's a big point of the book. The journalism of its era is the sum of technology plus politics. Take the golden age of journalism, which hits around 1950. Cold War politics demanded conformity, and it marginalized outliers. The new technology, television, was so expensive it demanded audiences of unprecedented size to support the ads, to support the programs. It couldn't afford to alienate anybody. So it created a big, white, Christian norm with no accents, and gave rise to news anchors who could assure us that even if it all was not right with the world, it was clear. But it never was clear. The newest new technology and our era's fragmented politics no longer support even the appearance of objectivity. It's a money loser, and it's also frankly irrelevant. Sure, you can care about something without lying to yourself, but that's hard. The fact is, as we show throughout the book, we're wired to lie to ourselves, and the media helps. So it's important, first of all, to say that there are certain politicians who claim fake news about any story that's critical of them or that reveals something that they don't want out there. But there's a difference between fake news, which is like the kind of disinformation that we saw the Russian hacking program take care of during the 2016 election on Facebook and other places, and opinion journalism, which is like op-ed pages and columnists who are expressing their opinions, and then subjective reporting and just information that people don't like and don't want to see out there. So it's important to kind of try to understand and appreciate that, which I'll talk a little bit more about. You would assume that concrete evidence would dislodge false facts. Not so. If a statement is repeated often enough, people will believe it, even if it is labeled as false. And in fact, I dealt with this with my book on Hurricane Katrina, because probably very few of you under 30 remember this, but back when the hurricane had just happened in New Orleans and the aftermath was sort of just making itself clear, there were all of these people who had been stranded at the shelters of last resort, the Superdome and the Convention Center. And all of a sudden, immediately in the hours after the storm, there was all of this news reporting about chaos at the Convention Center, rapes and mass shootings and dead bodies stacked up like cordwood and killing of young children and shooting at helicopters and all of these stories. And can I see a show of hands of those of you who were paying attention to the news back then who heard some of those stories? Yeah, a lot of hands. Now, the fact was that not a single one of those stories was true. They were all stories that, for some reason, felt true. It was easy to imagine. If you waded in, you know what you would get? All this junk. Books like All About Nothing, Milk Dud Diet. I forgot some of these. Rich in 60 Seconds. These are good. The reason we don't experience information overload problem in a bookstore or a library is that we're used to the cataloging system. So the real question is, how do we design filters for the web that let us find our way through this particular abundance of information?